He's going on late night Truth Social tirades. In the middle of the night, he's texting and calling Governor Walz a name that we don't use anymore to disability. He's attacking female reporters as piggy and ugly. He's falling asleep in the middle of a meeting. I mean, I said yesterday that Marco Rubio is boring, but not that boring that he would fall asleep. So what do you think's going on with him?
Trump is being Trump.
Really? There's nothing cognitively wrong there?
Well, I'm not saying whether there is or isn't. What I'm saying is 77 million people don't care. They voted for him. And those same 77 million people
Is it still that number?
They would do it. Well, you could say that it is or isn't, but the point is he's the president of the United States. Despite the onslaught of stuff that was coming his way, he knocked off folks, and the Democrats let him because they weren't on their game.
That was Joy Behar again, trying to pull Stephen A. Smith into her staged outrage circus about Trump. But someone needs to tell her the truth. That ship didn't just sail. It sailed, sank, and turned into a coral reef. The days when media hosts could fire up crowds just by saying Trump's name. Ancient history. Stephen A. made it crystal clear. People are done buying Packett's rage. Viewers see right through the drama, the spin, and the emotional games. They already know the truth. No amount of finger-pointing from daytime TV will change that. So welcome to today's episode. We break down how Stephen A. walked onto The View, stayed totally calm, spoke straight, and took apart the whole panel on their home turf. When Behar's move flopped, Sunny Hostin stepped in to save the wreck. She didn't do any better.
You know I like you, right? Okay, so you recently accused Senator Mark Kelly, a veteran, an astronaut, of crossing the line for participating in a video reminding troops that they can refuse to follow illegal orders.
Okay.
Let's see some of what you said, my friend.
Sure.
You know better, Senator Kelly. You know better. How dare you do that? You could go to the House. You can put up, draw up paperwork. You can try to start articles of impeachment if you think there's something illegal. I mean, damn, it ain't like y'all haven't done it before. You impeached the man twice. Where'd that get you? Got us behind back in the White House. Had you left him alone since 2020, maybe he wouldn't be back. You don't tell military men and women to ignore an order from the commander-in-chief. You don't do that.
Sunny Hostin walked in feeling right at home. And why not? The View was her comfort zone, her turf, the place where she controls the room and puts guests on defense. She fully expected to corner Stephen A. Smith the same way. But Stephen is not someone you catch off guard. He saw the setup from a mile away and had already read Hostin's whole playbook before she opened her mouth. Instead of taking the bait, he reset, planned fast, and fired back a response so sharp it practically froze the panel mid-sentence. Suddenly, Sunny and the crew were no longer running the conversation. They were squirming in their seats, scrambling to recover from a moment they never saw coming. I'd love to give you the chance to maybe change your position on what you said. I'm not changing a thing. I didn't stutter when I said loud and wrong. Well, you can call it loud and wrong all you want. You're entitled to your opinion. I'm entitled to mine, on Mark Kelly. What I was talking about is military. I got on the phone with family and friends who served and I said, we're not civilians. This is not a court of law. You can be held responsible for implying something if you were a former or active military member. It wasn't what Mark Kelly said. It's the fact that he was a combat Navy pilot who served, who would tell people, ignore an order when it could get.
I'd love to give you the opportunity to perhaps change your position on what you said.
I'm not changing a thing.
Okay.
I didn't stutter when I said it.
You want to stay loud and wrong?
Well, you could call it loud and wrong all you want to. You're entitled to your opinion. I'm entitled to mine. As it pertains to Mark Kelly, what I was talking about is military. What I did was get on the phone with family and friends who have served in the military. And I said, we're not civilians. This is not the court of law. You can be implicated for implying something if you are a former military member or you are a present military member. It wasn't what Mark Kelly said. It's the fact that he was a combat Navy pilot who served in the military who would tell folks, ignore an order when it could get them in order.
It was important, I think, for Democrats to show they stood with the LGBT community, that they stood with black women and women overall. Because once you lose us, once you let women and poor people go, okay, what do you have left? So I've listened to many people say, that they didn't do what was needed. They did it the way they thought they could. It didn't work for them. They get that. See, respectfully, I don't like that. Let me explain. Just like you said to Sunny. Let me explain. You sure did say that to me. We're going to come back. We have to take a break.
It was important I think, for Democrats to show that they stood with the LGBT community, that they stood with Black women and women in general, because once you let us go, once you let women and poor people go, what do you have? And so I've listened to lots of people say, you know, that you didn't follow what was necessary. They did it the way they thought they could. It didn't work for them. They got it.
See, respectfully, I don't like that. Let me explain.
That's okay.
Let me explain.
Just like you said to Sonny.
Let me explain.
He sure did say that to me.
Let me
We're
explain.
going to come back, but we have to take a break.
So I want to ask you, is this just the tip of the iceberg? What do you think the Trump administration will actually and finally release? And if they have nothing to hide, why did they fight so hard against this? Well, I'm suspicious. I'm suspicious about the delay in releasing the Epstein files, especially when it's something you ran on. So in that case, fine. But I also believe that people who have seen the Epstein files, if there was something directly damaging about Trump, we would have found out before the election, because every move would have been made to stop him from returning to the White House. I do believe, though, when you have powerful people in place, what happens is on both sides, there could be people in those Epstein files who are seriously exposed, and anybody protect each other. Well, they protect each other. Does anybody think Trump is in the files? I mean, he was mentioned over 1,000 times. I'm not saying he wasn't in the files. I'm saying that if it was something truly damaging against him, I think we would have heard about it by now.
I want to ask you, is this the tip of the iceberg? What do you think the Trump administration will actually and ultimately release? And if they have nothing to hide, why did they fight so forcefully against this?
Well, I'm suspicious. I'm suspicious in terms of, you know, the hesitancy in releasing the Epstein files, particularly when it's something you campaigned on. Yeah. So I think in that regard, fine. But I also believe that there are people that have seen the Epstein files, that if there was something directly incriminating about Trump, it's something that would have been, we would have found out about it before the election, because every measure would have been exhausted to make sure he didn't return to the White House. I do believe, however, when you have power brokers in place, what happens is on both sides of the aisle, it could be people in those Epstein files that can be severely incriminated, obviously. And anybody
they protect each other.
Well, they protect each other. And
you don't think Trump is in the files? I mean, he was mentioned over 1,000 times.
I'm not saying he wasn't in the file. It wasn't in the files. I'm saying that if it was something really, really incriminating against him, I think we would have heard about it by now.
Once again, they failed. And at this point, it is truly becoming embarrassing to watch. His response was so straight, so logical, so impossible to argue with that the panel had absolutely nowhere to go. He reminded them of something anyone with a working memory already knows. If those files held anything truly damaging about Trump, it would have leaked long before he ever stepped back into the White House. Think about it. During Trump's second campaign, every rumor, every accusation, every half-baked wild claim was blasted across every network every single day. And under the Biden administration, prosecutors dragged Trump into courtrooms over events that allegedly happened nearly 2 decades ago, proving they were fully willing to dig as far back as needed if they thought something would stick. So let's be direct. If those files held anything explosive, they would not be sitting quietly in a drawer somewhere. They would have been front-page news. They would have been screamed from every TV screen in America. Stephen A. simply said out loud what everyone already knows, but The View refuses to admit it.
He did say that, but there's also videos of him calling out Epstein and saying, down the line, beware, because there's going to be some dirt you're going to find out about this man.
Yeah, but remember what year he said that?
2015.
Yeah. That's kind of, you know.
They did reportedly have a falling out, but...
Yeah. I heard it was over some property in Florida, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the excuses for it is what it is, but the point is that Epstein was doing what he was doing for years.
Yeah.
So whether it was 2015, 2010, I don't care when it was. If you're that kind of despicable human being, I want to find out about it. I don't give a damn if it was 20 years ago.
Stephen A. politely reminded the host that Trump himself publicly called out Jeffrey Epstein's behavior over a decade ago, long before it became the global scandal it is today. In other words, maybe, just maybe, he was not an accomplice or a behind-the-scenes player in Epstein's horrifying actions. But naturally, that point landed nowhere. These hosts were not looking for logic. They were looking for a smoking gun with Trump's name carved on the handle. The disappointment pouring from that table when Stephen A. refused to hand them their prize Trump, his guilty moment was almost visible. They were not running an interview, they were running a scavenger hunt. And the prize they so badly wanted simply did not exist. Still, they pushed forward like detectives in a soap opera, pointing at clues that weren't there, forcing Trump's name onto that infamous list through pure stubbornness alone. Stephen A., cool as ever, did not budge. He stuck to the facts, cracked their story wide open, and left them clearly frustrated that reality refused to play along with their script.
You got to pay attention to Gavin Newsom. He's gaining some traction. I don't think he'll win, but he's gaining traction.
Why not?
Because I think that ultimately they'll look at the state of California.
Yeah,
look
California's
at
a tough
affordability,
sell.
look at homelessness, look at crime, and they'll say, hello, highest cost of living in the country. They'll be like, what? Wait a minute now. So I think that'll be a problem for him, but he's articulate enough to defend himself, and we'll see what happens with that.
Stephen A. Smith then brought up Gavin Newsom as a potential Democratic candidate. Emphasis on potential. But even as he said it, the doubt was audible. It was not a glowing endorsement. It was more of a, he exists, I suppose, kind of nod. And honestly, who could blame him? The problems hitting California are impossible to ignore. Homelessness has exploded to the point where entire neighborhoods look like open-air camps. Crime keeps climbing and residents practically need a safety plan just to run basic errands. Then there are the non-stop wildfires, the kind that choke whole regions in smoke and have half the state packing emergency bags every summer. Add the deep frustration among taxpayers and the mass exit of residents fleeing faster than moving trucks can keep up, and it becomes clear why Newsom may not be the Democratic Party's golden ticket. Stephen A. was not attacking him. He was simply being honest. Running for president while your state looks like the opening scene of a disaster film is not exactly a strong campaign pitch.
In the same breath, when I see what I saw prior to the election, if you're going to come to me and tell me that's our alternative, what was going on before the election, and you're saying, yo, Stephen A., you could be on the debate stage with these politicians and you get an opportunity to call them out.
Are you referring to Kamala?
I would love it. I'm referring to all of them. Everybody, nobody's getting a pass from the Democratic Party. Well, again, she was the candidate, but we know what happened. I thought she was set up to fail by the Democratic Party personally because you bypassed the primary. You knew that Biden wasn't ready. You knew it for a year. And you did nothing.
Stephen A. Smith then turned his fire directly at the Democratic Party itself, calling out their clear failure to produce strong presidential candidates in the last election cycle. And he was not wrong. It is not like the party lacked time, money, or obvious warning signs, yet somehow they still found themselves scrambling at the finish line. He did not put all the blame on Kamala Harris either. In fact, he admitted something many people had quietly suspected for a long time. Harris may have felt the DNC had set her up to fail from the very start. Look at the timeline. For nearly a full year, Democratic leaders knew Biden was struggling. They knew he likely could not carry the party to a win. Yet publicly they smiled, nodded, and told voters everything was perfectly fine while privately bracing for what was coming. Then at the absolute last moment, they pulled the plug and expected Harris to step up as a fully ready, battle-tested candidate overnight. It was political whiplash dressed up as strategy. Stephen A.'s message was clear. The DNC did not simply mishandle a campaign. They built a crisis and handed Harris the damage.
We talk about poor people. Who ain't thinking about poor people? Democratic Party, I know I do. I know that most candidates within the Democratic Party that I know they think about poor folks. I know they think about the desolate and the disenfranchised. I get that.
In the end, Stephen A. Smith walked onto The View expecting a real conversation and instead found himself dodging a minefield of political traps. Yet every single time they tried to corner him, he broke free with logic, context, and a clarity the panel was completely unprepared to handle. Whether the topic was Trump, the military, Epstein, or the Democratic Party's leadership failures, Stephen A. did not fold, he did not fumble, and he absolutely did not let the host put words in his mouth.
But what I'm saying is that during the campaign, were you doing what it takes to win? You had too many people going after him for stuff that wasn't going to stick. It wasn't going to influence his voters. So what I would say to you, Whoopi, and what I would say to anybody that doesn't want J.D. Vance or Marco Rubio or somebody like that to succeed him, focus on what's going to win.
He made one thing crystal clear. Outrage theater does not work anymore. The audience has grown up. People are no longer sitting at home passively swallowing whatever emotional story gets thrown at them through the screen. Americans are exhausted, genuinely, deeply exhausted from being spoon-fed rage-fueled storylines that are long on drama and dangerously short on facts. The hunger for manufactured controversy is dying, and episodes like this one are proof of exactly that. And when Stephen A. highlighted the NC's catastrophic mishandling of its own candidates, from Biden's growing visible decline that party insiders ignored for months to the last-minute chaos that left Kamala Harris politically exposed and totally unprepared, he only reinforced just how deep and dangerous the leadership crisis runs, not just inside the Democratic Party, but on both sides of the aisle. Nobody gets a free pass here. The View wanted a slip-up. They wanted a soundbite. They wanted Stephen A. Smith to stumble, contradict himself, endorse their assumptions, or better yet, march eagerly in their outrage parade. They set the traps. They laid the groundwork. They tag-teamed, pivoted, and escalated, and it still was not enough. Instead of the collapse they were counting on, he delivered something the panel clearly had no backup plan for. honesty, nuance, composure, and a series of deeply uncomfortable truths spoken without apology and without hesitation. He did not arrive on that set to perform for them. He did not come to be reshaped into a political prop or a puppet for someone else's story. He came with his own views, his own research, and his own backbone, and he left with all three completely intact. In doing so, Stephen A. did not just successfully defend himself against a coordinated on-air ambush, he did something far bigger. He exposed the widening, undeniable cracks in the mainstream media's aging playbook, the one that assumes viewers are still easily manipulated, emotionally reactive, and desperate to be told what to think. That playbook is falling apart in real time, and moments like this one are exactly why. If you enjoyed today's breakdown, hit the like button and subscribe for more videos just like this. Thanks for watching, see you in the next one.